Shelby, thank you. Now to the other big case taking center stage here at the Duval County Courthouse, the death penalty trial of Donald Smith. Testimony day one began today, and just a few minutes ago, the first day of testimony wrapped up. Now, Smith is accused of an atrocious crime, accused of raping and killing little 8-year-old Cherish Perrywinkle back in June of 2013. He was a registered sex offender at the time, and if he's convicted, he's looking at life in prison or the death penalty. Now, Rayne Perrywinkle, Cherish's mother, was with her daughter when they met Smith, and he offered to take them shopping. Today, she took the stand, and she relived the last day she saw her daughter alive. First Coast News' Juliet Dreyer listened to the testimony today, and she joins us now live with more on what Rayne Perrywinkle said today. Juliet?
Rayne Perrywinkle's time on the stand was spent outlining her daughter's last day alive. She described how what appeared to be a kind gesture from a stranger allegedly led to her daughter's murder. Now, Perrywinkle testified she walked with Cherish and her two other daughters, then 4 and 5 years old, to a Dollar General. She said the man, who later gave her the name Don, approached her as she left and told her he saw her struggling to pay for a dress for Cherish. He said his wife was bringing over a $150 Walmart gift card.
She tags her package.
Okay. Testified, but when his wife never showed up, Dawn offered to drive Perrywinkle and her 3 girls to Walmart, an offer Perrywinkle says she eventually accepted. Now, Perrywinkle last saw her 8-year-old daughter Cherish as she walked off with Dawn to get food from the McDonald's inside of the Walmart. The girl's body was found the following morning. Perrywinkle was visibly emotional, and Smith actually appeared to be a little bit too when the state played her frantic 911 call to the courtroom.
She's supposed to go to California in the morning to the plane, and he knows as I told him this. He knew when the store was closing. I had a bad feeling about him. I can't remember what my job is wearing. I need to sit down and be calm and close my eyes and try to remember what Cherish is wearing.
And Smith did make a surprise move in court today regarding Rayne Perrywinkle's testimony. For more on that and what else happened in court today, we head back to Heather Crawford, who's joined now by Ann Schindler.
Juliet, thanks so much. Ann Schindler here now continuing our team coverage. And Ann, I sat in on a little bit of the court hearing today. I know you were there all day long, and just listening to what led up to this and what happened to Cherish Perrywinkle is just gut-wrenching.
It is. I mean, Melissa Nelson, the state attorney, she's actually prosecuting this case, and she told jurors that it was going to be a brutal session, and it lived up to it. I mean, the jurors today were asked to see some of the worst things that they'll probably ever see in their lives, frankly, and some of them were visibly moved and shaken. I mean, jurors were grimacing, jurors were wiping away tears. It was a really difficult scene. They were looking at crime scene photos. They had an evidence technician testify late in the day, and I think it's going to get even more graphic when we hear from the medical examiner, Valerie Rao. She's expected to testify tomorrow.
Now, today, the first to testify was Cherish Perrywinkle's mother, Rayne, and when it was time to cross-examine her, Donald Smith made a surprise move.
Yeah, you know, the whole setup for this case from his attorney was, look, jurors, you're going to hear some difficult counter-arguments from us, including difficult, challenging testimony of the mother. And the attorney set all that up in the jurors' minds, and then as a shocker, I believe, to her as well, Donald Smith said after the conclusion of Rayne Perrywinkle's testimony that he didn't want to testify, didn't want to cross-examine her. And so they had this dramatic testimony with the mother, and then the defense did not ask any questions. We've got a little sound of what he said here, I believe. Well, we may not have sound. At any rate, he got up and he said, look, I don't want her to go through any more than she's already gone through. And I'll tell you that the reaction from some of the spectators in the courtroom at that statement was a little bit of a gasp. But at any rate, he did say he didn't want her to go through that, and they decided not to challenge any of her testimony, and they just let it stand.
So testimony continues tomorrow. Jurors due back in the courtroom tomorrow at 8:45. We're going to hear from the medical examiner tomorrow. And when is this trial expected to wrap up?
Well, given the pace that they're going and how little questioning they're doing of witnesses, the defense, we could be done tomorrow with testimony, I would think.
Okay, Ann Schindler, thank you very much. We're going to have much more on this trial. We're going to go more in depth with Ann tonight, coming up on First Coast News at 5:30. That is the latest from the Duval County Courthouse. Anthony and Jeannie will send it back to you.
Some very